Hi, my name is Matt Schaefer, and today I will be discussing poison the well fallacy. Now, that phrase does not mean poisoning a physical well that is right behind me, such as water. It actually is a strategy or tactic used to discredit a targeted person before they are about to give a speech about anything. Now, this specific strategy is actually used to already weaken a target's points and already give them an invalid information ahead of speech. So for starters, what would you do if you're against an opponent who you know is equal to or greater than you? Now you have two options. You can either one, practice your hardest, do everything you can, get more educated on whatever you're about to do, and you could possibly beat them. Or you could do an easy way, which is sabotage them ahead of time. Now, of course, that may seem like a little bit of a slimy way to do it, but it is actually one of the most common ways to discredit another person and why a big audience may consider them invalid. So you witness this every day, TV, sports, even through personal relationships. But this strategy has been successful around the world, and I will go in more detail about this and why it is the most common used tactic. So strategy of this is poison the well is used in various ways almost in any scenario. But the purpose is so successful that people don't know it is actually a form of sabotage. I'll discuss this and how many forms of this there are used and what ways they are used that you can identify right away. One of the most common forms of this is in politics ads. So how many times have you watched an ad that basically is discrediting them saying, oh, this person is not qualified for this position because of this. Oh, they are raising taxes so high. They are not paying attention to the people. That is a form of sabotage right before they get into why they are better than the other party. See, you see this every day during election year or during every few years, even when people are just trying to watch TV, trying to live their life, trying to get information. But ahead of time, what they will do is sabotage their opponent and just trash talk them, make them seem like they are a bad person. And often they will use effects like CGI to make them seem like they are evil. Now, do you think that's fair? Absolutely not. I mean, of course, they are not evil, but what they are doing is making you think that they have a bad interpretation of what they view their points on. So what we can use is another form on TV you will see is actually through sports. So say, for example, Tom Brady. When he transferred or got traded or signed, whatever it may be, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you saw hundreds of headlines saying he is near his downfall, he is watered down, he's never as good as he used to be, he'll never be as good as he ever will be again. He has peaked in 2017, for example. Now that is also a form of sabotaging him. Poison the well in that sense came down to them trashing him, saying he's unqualified for this, doesn't have the arm strength, doesn't have the IQ, he doesn't have the mobility. Now, all this stuff does not correlate to his actual performance on the field. In fact, he dominated the field on and off until the Super Bowl. He went out with all his heart, and he threw to every person. Almost every single throw was successful, and they demolished his opponents who said, oh, they're better because of this reason. This guy's so young, he knows all about this. He already has a cannon of an arm. But in fact, it was all those instances that made him seem he was already done. Now, this can also relate to betting. So when you bet on sports, you most likely listen to who is going to be, the higher chance of winning. Who's going to have the higher chance of winning? Now, obviously, Kansas City with their Super Bowl caliber team, they had speed, they have the hands, they have the proper men to win that Super Bowl. Now, of course, all those people would have bet on the Kansas City Chiefs because, in theory, they were a better team on stats. Now, they didn't take the focus of Tom Brady's IQ and his motivation. Everyone trashed it and put it right down into the well. And in fact, they were poisoning the people in the sense of their mindsets and their decision making when it came down to the betting. Now, when it came down to the betting, people were saying, oh, they're up ahead by this much, plus 140. This team is down 150. For example, everyone took those hosts' opinions on them and their speeches to make it seem they had absolutely no chance. When in fact, they were overall the better team on paper and through stats. Now, another way this can actually be used, now, people don't know this as well as common, but it is through relationships and current events. Now, it comes down to relationships such as friends, whether it's through dating or whether it's through family members or anyone else. Now, often you will hear people trash talk other people saying, I heard that this person did this, even through the workplace. Oh, I heard that they left this business because they weren't good at this or they had underperformed anything. All that is a form of sabotaging that person who whoever they're talking to has not met them and is already getting negative thoughts about them. Now, with those negative thoughts, you will not go up to someone and say, oh, here's a clean slate. I'm going to get to know you. You're already in the back of your mind thinking, all right, I've heard all these things about you. I don't know if it's true or not. But what I'm doing right now is being cautious and going off what I have heard. Now, of course, you never talked to that person before. You never talked to the person that they were talking about. Nobody has, except for the rumors. Now, what the rumor is, that is the poison that is infecting your mind. Now, of course, it's not fair for you to just judge automatically, but people do anyways. This is already a natural human trait that we do. We tend to think, oh, like I already have these bad thoughts. And you know what? That's often not fair for the other person because they don't get a freaking chance. Now, of course, this is used in relationships as saying, oh, you shouldn't date him because of this. He has this history. He did this before. When that person can be completely dishonest about the whole person in general or through an instance that has happened. Now, you have seen this every day. This happens so often. In the movie Hitch, Will Smith is the main character. So he is hired to help people date women, help people get themselves out, help them be more confident, help them just have that trait that seems desirable to another person. Now, it was until he met this woman who had a friend who gave her this opinion of him saying, oh, I heard he did this, he did this, he did that. He's a scumbag. When in fact, he was just trying to help people live their lives happily. So when they were on a dinner date, she decides to get up and call him out for something false that he has never done. Oh, he's using this as a scheme mode to get with women, when in fact, he did not. He just brings people's inner selves out that is true and honest and is able to have more confidence, have a better chance at life, whether it's through dating, whether it's through a workplace, or whether it's just to make friends. Now, the fact that she decides to believe her friend, that was called poison the well again. And what she did was not okay. Of course, she should have just asked the person, I heard you did this, but no one did that. In fact, everyone just went to accuse him of these things that he did not do, he does not stand for. And when he set the record straight to the woman, he basically told her, yes, I do this, but what you got wrong is I don't do it for these reasons. I do it for these reasons said. And it blew her mind. She was not at all responsive to that. She froze for a second like a deer in headlights and thought to herself, wow, I was really misinformed about that. So ahead of time, that was another form of sabotage that is also hidden, used every day through life, through TV, even through your personal relationships, it could have been. Of course, there could be many personal experiences I could relate to that would go towards this. But overall, what you do is you believe the person that you are being told from. But that also relates to the media and physically through law. Take a jury, for example. All right, you have a court case, you have a victim who you think, all right, he's guilty. I read a headline about this. he is guilty because he did this, he was at this location. But that's all you hear. People go off first impressions. Those first impressions give off a major bad vibe or bad thought towards your mind process. So sometimes a jury, they just go off personal feelings. And in full honesty, even though they're told to go off what the judge says, what information he's giving out through those lawyers. In advance, lawyers, from the first second they hit the floor, they do sabotage the culprit. When they get up and they give this speech, they bash the guilty party or the assumed guilty party. In a way, they will say, oh, he did this, he was at this time. They give all these facts. Sometimes they can be false, sometimes they can be true, based off what statistics say and what was recorded by the police. Now, of course, it's not fair to ask the party member or the targeted guilty person what really happened first. No, in fact, they go to why he is guilty. And then they go to why he is innocent off the other lawyer, which is defending the guilty party. Now, that person can have the full honesty. They can lie. They can do anything. But whatever he is about to say can be already discredited because of what the former lawyer already said. And he has already told all these bad things to the jury, basically switching their mindsets. They're leaning towards, oh, he is more guilty. He is a little bit innocent. You never fully know. But what they do is they argue each point to get the jury to lean towards one side. Guilty, innocent, guilty, innocent. It's always a back and forth switch. Courts is very unbalanced, very unfair. The fact that they can attack someone without truly knowing what happened. So, an example, you take someone who was at a crime scene and he was already walking down the street with his dog. All of a sudden, next to him, car breaks in, a cop pulls up, he's like, hey, you did this. They arrest the man who was walking his dog, the innocent guy. Now, all you hear is, oh, he was at this place, this location. He was already doing this and this. But truthfully, that's all you hear. And you already think guilty. Now, what does the media do? The media advertises everything. They do breaking news. They do headlines, everything. All that is always negative towards the targeted guilty party. And is that honestly, is that fair? Absolutely not. That is one of those toxic incidents where you don't know the full truth. You're just going off what you're told. The public's mind has already been made. They have already decided this man is guilty in their own heads at that moment. And they're very quick to make an instant decision off what they hear before they know anything else. Whether the person was truly innocent or not, this in fact sabotaged their minds ahead of time. Now, of course, it's not fair. Of course, this is obviously the biggest form of sabotage. But now you can see how many forms of sabotaging this can do and what levels it can do. It could be the extreme levels. It can be something as innocent as, oh, I heard he stole a pen from the teacher, or he skipped class because of this. You never know the full story. As common as this strategy is, it is a smear tactic. It can be used by people who don't have enough confidence at all in the reasons why they are right. Because sometimes they know they're wrong. They know that they don't have enough points or information to be right. So what do? They resort to bringing that person down, knocking down his pedestal, and just giving him less of a chance to punt out what's right. What's his information? What is he about to say? At a time, it's already ruined for him. And of course, you just plant the seeds ahead of time and you make your own decision to sabotage that other person. And it is sneaky. It is sneaky. It is wrong. Of course, every day in life, you experience this in those instances I gave earlier, those examples. Every day it will happen in your life. But instead of that, people go to decide sabotaging of the party. People don't know the truth right away. And they are just misinformed about the information. And again, this is the most common form of strategy, whether it is through work, family, sports. You only watch on TV. Those news channels, that is what they will do. And people overlook it just thinking it's just standard news. But in fact, it can be a form of sabotage. And of course, That is not fair without knowing the truth in the end and the results. So in the end, I believe this is the most common toxic strategy used. It's often by weak people. If you're giving an argument and you're already just blowing this guy apart, you're just like ripping him in half saying, oh, he's wrong because of this. That is the weakest form of argument about this person. Just not allowing him to give him a chance at what he's about to say. His points are already discredited because this person had the audacity to say, they're not wrong because I do this. This is wrong. They're not even giving me their information. Most of the time, they're just bashing them and they're just trash talking them. Like sports. Oh, he's old because of this. He's not going to do well. He could be the most successful person in the world. And people will automatically think differently. So overall, this does not give people a fair chance. And it is the most sly tactic used in the world universally. You can go over to Asia and they'll experience this. You can go over to Europe, Australia. Anywhere you go, there is some form of this, even through commercials. So overall, this is the most toxic form in any environment that you will ever be in. And you can recognize this now that I've gone through this and all these examples. As soon as someone starts to trash talk negatively about someone or a group of people or even a business, that is a form of poisoning the well. Everyone hears from it, everyone goes to it, but in fact, the seeds have already been planted to bring out all the negativity in life. So often, just know that sometimes it can be used by weaker people who really don't have true points to point out, don't have any real points that are invalid. Of course, the other person may be right, but overall, you just have to know, start off with a clean slate and just try to recognize that some people just don't know when they're wrong and they just don't want to admit it. So poison the well overall is a smear tactic. Thank you.